One and all present here. I, Tanvi Mehta, the chairperson of Team Raise.
And I, Mehak Modi, deputy chairperson of Team Raise. Welcome you all to
Revive 2021, Renewing Minds,
Transforming Lives,
in association with Elite Overseas Education. I would now request the IT team to play the college anthem.
दे भविष्य बना सकूं।
The mind is the greatest power in the universe. Consciously choose to associate with those great souls who discuss big ideas.
Our institution, Nagindas Khanwala College, is also a place where such great souls take birth. Their journey may not commence from here, but this is the place where they find the right path. Listing down the college achievements, Nagindas Khanwala College was awarded autonomous status in the year 2016, re-accredited by NAC in third cycle with A grade, Best College Award 2012 by University of Mumbai, Educational Excellence Award by Indus Foundation USA, INC Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Commendation Certificate 2013, Best Education Quality Enhancement Team President Award 2013, Best College Award for Quality in Education by Indo-Global Chamber of Commerce, ranked 12th at All India level by Education World Magazine, ranked 5th at Maharashtra level by Education World Magazine, ranked 1st in All India under the category of New Age Study Programmers Leader in the Education Rankings 2021-22.
Now I would like to list down the journal instructions. Participants are requested to ask their question in the chat box. They will be answered at the end by the speaker. Participants are requested to mute their audio and video. Participants are requested to feed the feedback form through the feedback link, which will be provided in the comment section. The feedback link will be available for the last 15 to 20 minutes of the webinar. Participants failing to fill the feedback form will not receive the e-certificate. Participants are kindly requested to provide the accurate information in the feedback form.
Team RAISE is a contribution of cultural, social work, seminars, workshops, and dramatic events. Team RAISE organizes events throughout the year and works towards serving the underprivileged through the funds raised from these events. The funds are also contributed to an Adivasi village named Karambiri Wadi at Raigad district, adopted by our college, and Team RAISE had taken the initiative for the same. Our goal to elevate the underprivileged by renovating the school at Karambiri Wadi and giving them a proper education. So by giving our contribution to the society, we can make it a better place to live. Let's now see a video of Team RAISE. I request the IT team to kindly play the video.
request our principal, Dr. Mrs. Ansi Joes, a pillar of support, to kindly enlighten us with a few words of wisdom.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today's respected speakers for the day, my colleagues, vice principals, Suchak, Mona Mehta, and Dr. Maushmi Datta, organizer, Mr. Nelson and his team, Team Race, all the participants for this program. Team Race has always been very enthusiastic in organizing a lot of programs. Right from the beginning of the academic year till the end of the academic year, Team Race takes all the initiatives to arrange such a lot of programs for the betterment of the students. The most loving part of Team Race, the entire team, is your value for social service, the value for the urge for helping the underprivileged. I really appreciate that a lot. And by arranging talks like this, definitely the students are getting a lot of motivation of what to do and how to do and when to do. At the college level, what the college can do is arrange this type of programs for the development of the personality of all the students who are coming to our college and all the participants who are participating in such programs. So we always at the college, whether it is Team Race or every section is highly competitive. They are competing amongst each other, healthy competition happening in the college for organizing such wonderful programs. When I saw the biodata of today's speakers, it is really worth listening to all such people. Listening to such great people, you will get to know a lot of things. And when the students, when you are young, you can plan your future by listening to such knowledgeable and learned people. And I must I must compliment and congratulate Mr. Nelson and his team for arranging such wonderful programs. And I'm very happy that you have taken the initiative and to start with such a program. I think this is the first webinar for students we have organized. Though we had a lot of other language-oriented programs. I think for motivational programs, I think this is the first program we have done it. But in Khandwala College, the entire spirit is that arrange a lot of, give a lot of opportunity for the students to take, grab the opportunity to become a better human being. That's why our anthem also says, what we want is not only the bookish knowledge, but we want the entire student community to become a better citizens for tomorrow, to serve the nation, to serve the human being, to become a better human being. That is our motto while doing all these programs. And I'm sure, and with so many years of experience, I can definitely say that the students who are going out from our college are definitely contributing a lot for the development of our nation and development of the entire human society. So that way, I'm very proud of it. I'm very thankful to the entire faculty community, faculty members of mine, colleagues of mine, and students of mine for taking all the initiatives, whatever they can do for making it a better place to live in. So when you participate, you get a lot of experience. Experiential learning is the best thing to learn something. So when we arrange a program, these are all for giving experience to the students to make it the learning as an experiential learning. So my dear students, I thank you everyone for making this day possible, this wonderful webinar possible. And once again, let me compliment each and every one of the organizers for making this wonderful program, wonderful webinar happening today. On behalf of the management, on my personal behalf, I extend a warm welcome to all the speakers of the day for this wonderful webinar. I also extend a warm welcome to all the participants from our college and from other colleges as well I extend you all a warm welcome for this program. And when you listen to the speakers, all three speakers, carefully, with attention, you will definitely have a lot to take back home and to implement it in your life. So once again, my compliments to the Team Race, for arranging this wonderful program, and let's all enjoy it by listening to it. So have a wonderful time ahead, wonderful evening ahead, and wish you all the best. May God bless you all. Thank you. Over to you, Gauri.
Thank you,
Now
ma'am,
over
for
to
your
you.
encouraging
Yeah.
words.
I would now request Vice Principal of Academics, Professor Dr. Maushami Datta, to kindly say a few words.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, let me congratulate Team Race for organizing Revive 2021, Renewing Minds, Transforming Lives. Today's session by, as Madam said, by Lieutenant General Satish Dua, Prabhu Duptara, and Gladson Peter will help you to get a different view of life. It will definitely help you, as the tagline says, rise above yourself. The session will definitely renew your minds, and that means that it will help you to replace the old ways of thinking with a new way, and will help you to create a better life for yourself. I congratulate Team Raise and the participants once again for joining this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am, for your philanthropic words.
I will request the Vice Principal of the Self-Finance section, Dr. Mona Mehta, the one who is ever cheerful, to kindly enlighten us with a few words of wisdom.
Thank you so much. Respected Principal, Dr. Mrs. Nancy Jones, my colleague, Professor Dr. Maushami Datta, Professor V.G. Suchak, Nelson, who's the organizer with the students of Team Race for this event, and honorable speakers who are going to grace us for this occasion. Lieutenant General Satish Dua, Prabhu Guptara sir, and Gladson Peter. I think we are all looking forward to hearing and learning from you, because learning is a never-ending process. And all the speakers that we have today for Revive have achieved something which is exemplary. So we look forward to listening to them, learning from them, and implementing principles that give them a happy and successful life. I congratulate Team Race for all the efforts that they have put in to put up Revive 2021, and my compliments to everybody who's been a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your propitious words.
I would now request Vice Principal of the Degree College Administration, Associate Professor V.G. Suchak sir, to kindly speak a few words.
Yes, it is 4 o'clock exactly. So instead of using the terminology good afternoon, let me start with good evening. Good evening, one and all, respected Madam Principal, both my Vice Principal colleagues, Mr. Nelson Daniel, the person behind the event called The Raise, all the student volunteers, other faculty members, and dear student participants. It is indeed a very heartening moment for Nagindas Khandwala College. Under the banner of Raise, Mr. Nelson and his team have been organizing various functions, and almost every year without a break, they have been doing this. This year, under Revive, they have organized, they've invited the Trinity in Lieutenant General Satish Dua, Mr. Prabhu Guptara, and Mr. Gladson Peter, who have been speaking on different aspects and giving their perspectives of their life on the topic Rise Above Your Spirit. I know how much efforts and hard work go into making conceiving this kind of event and organizing this kind of event. my compliments to all of you for doing a wonderful work so that this program has seen the light of the day. I congratulate you all for bringing this event to this day. Thank you for allowing me to share some of my thoughts. My compliments to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your amicable words.
I would now like to thank our sponsors without whom this event wouldn't have been possible.
Associate sponsor, Elite Overseas Education.
Gifting partner, Cinnamon Stick.
Registration partner, Paytm Insider.
Restaurant partner, Biryani Bomb.
Furniture partner, Bhavik System.
MBA partner, Prepters.
Installation partner, Astra Engineers.
Printing partner, Lakshmi Prints.
Cosmetic partner, Avon.
ID partner, Basic Visual ID Technologies.
Design partner, Mowgli India.
Cafe partner, FC Cafe.
Jewelry partner, Jigna Creations.
Optics partner, The Eye Gallery.
Bakery partner, Fold Bake Gobble.
Video editing partner, First Film.
Fitness partner, Fitmax.
Ice pop partner, Little Loco Pops.
Dance partner, Vardha Studio.
Dessert partner, Camel Dessert.
Virtual gaming partner, No Escape Room.
Turf partner, FC Turf.
Photography Institute partner, Varun Bhatt Photography.
Aerial cinematography partner, Camfly.
Perfume partner, La Fume.
Salon partner, Hari Hari Hair Studio.
Now, I would request the IT team to kindly present the e-banner. Design creates culture, culture shapes value, value determines the future. Everything you build is going to last a lifetime and is going to hold a value too. Bhavik System is the best for modular furniture and it provides you with furniture that holds the value. Peace be amplified, world be rectified. Astra engineers have the right spark. They are electrical and mechanical engineers, designers and contractors, fire protection and safety engineers, and best at their work. Thank you to all our sponsors. Now we'll be having a video of a speaker. I request the IT team to kindly play the video.
Our army camp at Uri had been attacked. This huge anger in the country, emotions of a nation running high. The leadership was agitated. My soldiers wanted revenge. 18 September 2016. In a suicide attack, 4 terrorists managed to barge into an army camp very close to the LOC. With all that going on, I had to stay calm. I had to stay calm and not give in to the gloom.
What excites me the most about the Global Leadership Symposium is that you're creating not just 1 or 2 individuals or helping 1 or 2 individuals or 15 or 20 or 100 individuals, but that you are creating a body of people. You're creating a group of people who are bonded and are able to support each other as they rise and face the challenges that are going to face them. Because individuals are not enough. You need a group of people in every nation, in every sector, who will go in and help to transform what needs to be transformed.
जहां देख लिया है, नहीं कहे तेरे जैसा कोई नहीं है। 80 नहीं 100 दिन दुनिया घुमा है, नहीं कहे तेरे जैसा कोई नहीं। मैं गया जहां भी बस तेरी याद थी, जो मेरे साथ थी, मुझको तड़पाती रुलाती। सबसे प्यारी तेरी सूरत, प्यार है बस तेरा प्यार ही। माँ तुझे सलाम।
September 2016. Our army camp at Uri had been attacked and we had suffered heavy casualties. In a suicide attack, 4 terrorists managed to barge into an army camp very close to the LOC. All the 4 terrorists were shot dead, but we lost 18 soldiers. One died later in the hospital next day. The firing had stopped, but the fires were still raging. Reinforcements were sent, operations were launched in the nearby jungles to flush out any lurking terrorists that might be there. My soldiers, my units were looking up to me for orders. Huge anger in the country against terrorism. My soldiers wanted revenge. And in 10 days, surgical strikes were launched. 10 days. 10 days of thorough planning and preparation. So much coordination and training. And more training.
I would like to request IT committee to kindly play the video of our next speaker. Comfort zone, come out of your comfort zone. It is often very easy to perform any task that is in your comfort zone. But if you want to achieve a certain goals, it is always essential that you do something incredible that is beyond your limit. Experiments always leads to new learning. Very frequently, we encounter with people who say they wish to try new things, but they often don't try, thinking about the world. But that's the key to unlock your bright future. Thus, keep trying something new to come out of your comfort zone. Introducing our next speaker. He is an author, featured speaker, and a broadcaster who helped board of companies worldwide with strategic, organizational, market, and human resource issues. He is also an executive director. He is none other than Professor Prabhu Guptara. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for that very kind introduction. And I want to thank, of course, your principal, respected principal, Dr. Nancy Joseph, for all that she has done for the college in bringing it up in the way it has gone up in the education rankings. That's really fantastic. Very good news. Always happy to hear things like that. And also thanks to Dr. Nelson Daniel for putting this whole series together. I really admire the way in which he has organized the whole series, but also particularly because, of course, the series is meant to raise money for the Adivasi village. And that is fantastic. I've only every college in the country adopted one Adivasi village or one slum or one village somewhere in the desert or somewhere in the mountains, the whole country would be transformed so quickly. We long to see the day when no one in our country, in our nation, is disadvantaged because they don't have access to basic health facilities, don't have access to basic education. And that is the day that colleges like yours are trying to bring forward. So it's great to see contributions to nation building of this sort. So thank you, Professor Joseph. Thank you to, of course, Dr. Nelson Daniel. And thank you to our host and to the gentleman who's just introduced me. Thank you very much indeed. So as we turn to our topic, our topic is, of course, within the theme of Revive. Our topic is Rise. Rise. So the question is, how do you rise? It's very easy to say like a mantra, rise. But what does it mean in practice? In reality, what does it mean? So that's what I want to talk about. So let me begin by saying that the first thing that is involved is what I call basic competence. If you don't have basic technical and professional competence, you will never rise. You may talk a lot, but you will never rise. What is the difference between talking and doing is professional competence. If, let us say, you're a plumber, who goes around sorting out your piping for water and things like that, but you don't know anything about actually how to tighten the nuts properly and how to loosen the nuts properly and how to make sure the water doesn't flow out when you tighten the nuts. You don't know the basics. You will never do well. You may have enough work, but you will never do well, right? So there is basic technical and professional competence. If you cannot perform an operation, you will never be a good surgeon. You'll never be a great surgeon, right? To be a surgeon, you have to know how to perform the operation. Similarly, in business, you have to know how to keep accounts. If you don't know how to keep accounts, you cannot be a good businessman. It's basic, So it is basic technical and professional competence you need to have. But the better your technical competence, the better your professional competence, obviously, it's going to be the better for you. So what I want to do at this moment is I want to take a little step back from this and put ourselves in the shoes of somebody who's recruiting a student like you. So imagine that I am the person who's potentially going to recruit you for a job. You have to ask yourself, what is this recruiter looking for? Or tomorrow, God willing, you may be in a position where you are recruiting people. What should you be looking for? So the first thing you're looking for is technical competence. Is the man, woman in front of me, are they technically competent? Usually they are. If they are not technically competent, usually you will never get to the interview stage, right? And I know how much competition there is to get into the interview stage, right? So if a person is not technically competent, in other words, he doesn't or she doesn't have a second class at least or a first class, they are not going to come before you for the interview. So you can take it as read, you can take it as understood that the man or woman in front of you is technically competent. Not always. Sometimes they are there because of rishta and things like that, some bribery or something. But most of the time, people who are in front of you are technically competent. So what else are you looking for? Why are you interviewing these people? Naturally, the question arises, the man or the woman has a first class, why are you interviewing me? I'm first class, why do you want to interview me? Because that is not the only thing the recruiter is looking for. So what else is the recruiter looking for? The second thing the recruiter is looking for is what I call relational competence. Not only professional competence, but also relational competence. What do I mean by relational competence? Relational competence means, are you able to get on with other human beings, which is very difficult. You know from your relationship with your parents, your friends, your relatives, how difficult it is to have good relationships. Of course, some relationships we have are very good. That's fine. That's easy. But some relationships we have are difficult. So the question is not how do we manage the easy relationships, because no problem. Problem is how do we manage the difficult relationships? That is one of the things the recruiter is looking for. Because in every team, there will be people who will be difficult to get on with. Is this person sitting in front of me for the interview, is he or she going to be a good team player? Meaning, is he or she not going to be able to manage only the good relationships? Will he or she also be able to manage the difficult relationships? That is relational competence. Some people call it emotional quotient or emotional competence. Doesn't matter what you call it. What they're looking for is not only technical competence, they're also looking what kind of person you are. Are you able to get on with others? Okay, most of us Indians are actually pretty good at relational competence. Not everybody, of course, not everybody. But most Indians are pretty good at relational competence because we grew up in large families. We grew up in relationships with friends that are pretty intense, right? And we have our fights with our friends and then we get over them. So most of us are used to these kinds of problems, most, not all, are used to these problems with relationships. So most of us are pretty relationally competent. So when you get into an interview situation in India, the interviewer, the recruiter, of course, wants to see your professional competence and so on, takes that for granted, just checks it in case something wrong has happened. He just checks the relational competence in case by any chance you are some strange Indian guy who has grown up only with his, playing computer games and only with his his smartphone and doesn't relate to other human beings, possibly, just checking that. But then they come to the real thing they want to check. So professional competence, yes. Relational competence, yes. Then what is the next thing they're looking for? They are looking for what I call hunger. What do I mean by hunger? Is this person motivated to perform? Is this person motivated to outperform? Or is this chap going, man or woman, is this chap going to sit on the seat and simply warm the seat? Right? Is this person sitting in front of me going to simply be occupying a seat, or is this person wanting to perform, wanting to do things, wanting to achieve, wanting to contribute? That is called hunger, or it's called ambition, or it's called passion. Different words, but you know what I'm talking about. Does this person want to be involved? Does this person want to do his best, her best? Does he or she want to motivate everybody around them to do the best, right? That is what they're looking for. Now you may say, isn't that obvious? If I've got a first class, of course I've got hunger, right? Not necessarily. Because you may have got a first simply because you're brilliant. There are people, I know, there are people who are so brilliant, they never do any work, they still get a first class. You know that, I know that, there are people like that, right? So the interviewer is trying to find out, are you somebody who's just simply brilliant? If you know what I mean, just brilliant. Or do you have the motivation to also exert yourself in areas which are beyond your normal competence? Do you have the willingness to push yourself in areas that are outside the normally expected ways of accomplishing things so that you can outperform? That's what the recruiter is looking for. So professional competence, number one, relational competence, number two, and hunger. You might call it ambitional competence, the competence of ambition, the competence of passion. Call it what you want. So let us imagine now we have finished the interview. Let us imagine that we have persuaded the recruiter, the interviewer, that you have technical competence, you have relational competence, and you also have passion. You also have ambition. You also have hunger. You've persuaded the recruiter and you've been offered the job. Okay, so now you're arriving on the first day at your job. Very good. Hello. You're introduced to everybody. Thank you very much. Great. Now I've taken my seat and I'm being given my first job. Of course, after a due introduction and all that, I've been given my first job. What is my aim in
doing my first job? My aim in doing my first job is to establish my credibility. What do I mean? I mean, there are a lot of people with first divisions. There are a lot of people who seem to be very charming in an interview. There are a lot of people who seem to be ambitious in the interview because they know they have to appear to be ambitious, right? They have to appear to be hungry. They know that. So they appear that to get the job. But when they're in the job, are they going to actually perform? Are they going to actually perform? If I perform, I establish my credibility. If I don't perform, I don't establish my credibility. People say, this chap somehow got here, but actually he's useless or she's useless, right? So how do you establish your credibility is your first battle once you've got your job. How do you establish your credibility? You establish your credibility by three things and only by three things. What are those three things? You outperform on timing. That means if you say, sir, madam, the job will be done by Monday morning, 10 o'clock. That means you make sure it is done by 9 o'clock or Friday at least. Once you've said, once out of your mouth has come 10 o'clock on Monday, it should not be 10:01 when you finish the job. If you do it at 10:01 or 10:05, boss will say, okay, at least he did it or she did it at 10:05, right? But that will not contribute to your credibility. That is only chalta hai, theek hai, kaam ho gaya, somehow it is done. But that is not credibility. Credibility is you've done it to 10 o'clock or before that. That is credibility. You've outperformed on timing. That is credibility. So you establish your credibility by outperforming on timing. But I said there were three things. What are the other two? Timing and then budget. Now, when you just start, probably the budget issue is not a big one because you're just starting. What budget do you have? But as you start growing in an organization, the issue of budget comes up. Not just the job to be done by date X, but the job to be done by date X to a budget of so much. That means you should not spend more than X number of rupees to accomplish the job that you have to do. So if, let us say, the budget is 10 lakhs of rupees or 10,000 or 10 rupees, doesn't matter. The budget is rupees 10x. The question is not only have you done it to 10 o'clock on Monday morning, but have you done it within 10x? You've only spent 8x or 9x. If you accomplish the job for less than 10x, you have established your credibility. If you have done it a little more than 10x, people will say, "Theek hai bhai, okay, the job was done a little more, but okay, we excuse, it's all right." But it's only all right. It's not excellent. You establish your credibility by being excellent, by outperforming. That means doing your job for less than the budget. So, two things. You outperform on timing, you outperform on budget. What is the third thing then? The third thing is quality. What is the quality of the job that was done? It's only if you outperform on quality that you have really established your credibility. So, what were the specifications to which the job had to be done? And you have outperformed on the specifications. That means you've done more than was required by the job. You've gone the second mile. That is what it means to outperform on quality. So you establish your credibility, which is your first goal in your new job. You establish it by outperforming on timing, on budget, and on quality. Three things, three criteria. You fall down on one of them, you don't establish your credibility. You perform on all three, you outperform on all three, you have established your credibility. Now, when you establish your credibility, there will not be many people who establish their credibility, by the way. A lot of people fall by the wayside. They fall by the wayside because they do not establish, they're not able to establish their credibility. But if you have established your credibility, what is then the second battle you have? What is your second objective? Once you've established your credibility, what is your second objective? Your second objective is visibility. Visibility means to be able to be seen. An organization may have 10,000 employees, 100,000 employees, God knows, right? But even if your team is only 5 people or 6 people, are you visible? We Indians are sometimes over confident and over showy. We show a lot. Some of us are like that, and some of us only show that, but we are really quite modest inside. But some of us are really full of myself, I, the great, ahankar, as we say in Hindi or in Sanskrit. They're full of ahankar, me, myself, I, the great, So these people have no problem being visible, right? But if you're not that kind of person, if you're really a modest kind of person, you may have a battle to make yourself visible. See, I've done my job, okay, I've outperformed, but it's only simple me, it's only poor old me, And if the boss thinks highly of me, he will pick me up. If the boss or she, whoever the boss may be, if the boss doesn't think highly of me, that's okay, I'm doing my job, thank you very much. No, my friend, that is not how you will be successful. To be successful, you have to not only be credible, that means outperform on time, on budget, and on quality, but you also have to then begin the battle of establishing your visibility. How do you establish your visibility in a nice way, in a professionally acceptable way? That's a question, isn't it? Not just by shouting me. People get fed up. No. How do you establish it in a charming way, in a nice way, in an acceptable way, professionally acceptable way? You do it by volunteering to do things that are outside your job description. So my job description is I am responsible for SAP migration, let us say, for argument's sake, from database X to database Y. That's my job, okay? Or my job is I'm looking after sales and marketing in area A or area B. That's my job. Yeah. I am trying to outperform on that and establishing my credibility, yes. But I don't establish my visibility by doing that. Or not by that alone, of course, I have to do that, but not only that. I establish my visibility when I offer to do something beyond what is my job description. There may be simple things like, of course, I'm looking after my own team, but maybe my colleague's team is having some problems. I can volunteer to support my colleague in his team or her team. Or maybe somebody in the office, maybe even a driver or a gardener, is having some family problems. And the company or the organization wants to support the driver or the gardener, but everybody is so busy, you know what life is like, right? Everybody is so busy. So you say, no, I will take it on myself to go and deliver this little money to this family, or I will take his mother or daughter or son or whatever it is to the hospital, or I will organize it, whatever needs to be done. You're offering to do something outside your job description, which is contributing to the company. So that is one acceptable way of establishing your visibility, when you start doing things outside your job description. But another way of acceptably raising your visibility is talk to your boss and say, boss, I'm doing my best, and I'm okay in doing my job. But there must be more that I can contribute to the company. Please tell me what else I can do for the company. Now, some bosses will say, no, you please do what you're doing. That's great. I don't want you to do anything else. Some bosses are like that. But some bosses will say, look, there is another thing you can do for me, and that is job X. Job X, this is not just going and helping some colleague for a temporary basis or arranging for somebody to be taken to hospital or something like that, right? This is actually a new job. Now, what happens? You're already fully employed doing your own project, right? Boss is asking you to take responsibility for a second project. What will happen? Your workload will go up by 10%, 20%, 100%, right? Right? So your intelligence as a worker, as distinct from getting a first in your engineering or whatever it is, commerce or BMBA or whatever, your intelligence in work is how do you organize your team so that your team can look after your existing work, and you can then take responsibility also for the next team or the next job, and encourage and nourish and mentor people to come up so that they can do the second job as well. And you are then relatively free when both the teams are outperforming. You are then relatively free to go back to your boss, and you can say, boss, you gave me job X, that is also being done. Now, what else can I do for you? That is raising your visibility. Professionally, acceptably, charmingly, competently. And there is one other thing in raising your visibility. In many, not in all, but in some companies, many companies, there are training programs. Now, training programs are regarded as being for the weak, inefficient, etc., but that is not the reality. The reality is, if you don't go for the internal corporate training programs, you will never get noticed by the higher ups. Not your own boss knows you, but the higher ups than your boss. And it's only when the higher ups than your boss begin to notice you that you begin to have doors open to promotions. Your boss, of course, nominates you, your boss encourages you, your boss supports you. Without your boss's support, you don't get them. But the door is only open with the blessing of your boss's boss or your boss's boss's boss. So the visibility battle is not only with your boss, it is also with your boss's boss. And the politics of an organization are such that you're not actually supposed to have any direct contact with your boss's boss. Sometimes it's possible because the whole thing is so informal. Yeah, that's fine. But formally, you're not supposed to have any contact with your boss's boss, not about official matters. Official matters are between you and your boss, not between you and your boss's boss, right? So there is a little bit of politics involved here, which you have to know how to negotiate. And the acceptable way of doing it is training programs. What are the corporate training programs? So you can raise the question with your boss. Boss, are there not any corporate training programs run by the company? Could I not be nominated? You know, it is good for me to improve my skills and my exposure to the company as a whole. And when you can get nominated for these corporate training programs, that's where you meet people from other divisions, other functions, other geographies. That's where the senior guys from the company will come and speak to you. You have an opportunity to make yourself known to them by being active. Acceptable ways of being visible. They will vary from company to company, but this is the sort of thing you can do to raise your visibility inside the organization. So let us imagine you've established your credibility, you have even accomplished visibility, and you are now able to be in a position to move to your next battle. What is your next battle? Well, after visibility, it is how do you add value to an organization as a whole, or a department, or a region, or an area? How do you add value? Now, you can begin adding value earlier, but I'm talking now not just in terms of the job given to you or jobs given to you, but in a way that is outside your jobs. You're thinking in a bigger way, and you're trying to think and contribute in a way that adds value to the company or the division or the area as a whole. Well, there are only two basic ways of adding value. The first way is you cut costs. And the challenge is always to cut costs intelligently. You can always cut costs. But the problem with cutting costs is that cutting costs has consequences. I mean, you know that. Wherever you cut costs, there are going to be consequences. So it is a matter of intelligently understanding the organization to see where the costs can be cut without damaging the company too much. And realigning, reorganizing the company in such a way that fat is cut out, but muscle is retained. So you need to have wisdom from God, really, supernatural wisdom you need. You need some kind of insight, which is not normal, because otherwise it would have been done, right? There are many other employees in the company. They're not all stupid, right? They would have got the idea how to cut the fat and retain the muscle. So you need some kind of special inspiration to be able to understand where there is fat that can be cut and where there is muscle which should be strengthened. So that's the first thing. The second, so you cut costs. That is how you add value. But this is nowadays very difficult, because in every organization we've been through cost cutting for the last, I think, probably 20 years. We've been through this kind of phase in most companies. So the one key thing that is still very possible is how do you add more revenue? How do you add more income to the company or the government or wherever you may be working? How do you add more revenue? And to do it in an intelligent way, in an acceptable way, without negative costs is the challenge. So you can do it by adding new products, you can do it by adding new services, you can do it by better marketing, you can do it by better service, you can do it by better customer relations. You know, there are various things you can do to add revenue in a good way, in a positive way. So that is where you need real creativity to be able to add revenue and therefore add value to a company or an organization, government, or wherever it may be. Now, so you have established your credibility, we said. You've achieved visibility, we said. And let us imagine that you have now added enough value to the company for people to say, that guy, man or woman, that guy is worth promoting. That guy is worth taking higher up in the organization. And if you're lucky and there is no negative politics in the organization, you will continue to move up in the organization. If there is, they will try to, some people will try to keep you down. That doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Just keep adding value. And as long as you keep adding value, sooner or later, you will be recognized for your value and people will pick it up. You're doing your normal credibility, you're doing your normal visibility, you're doing your normal adding value. As long as you keep doing that, at the right time, somebody will say, look, we're being stupid. The way we're managing is not right. We need to recognize merit. This guy, man or woman, is sitting over there doing an extraordinary job. He or she deserves to move up. So never worry about promotions and things. They will come. Okay, you say, so now I've been promoted, or even if I've not been promoted, what is my next challenge? How can I contribute at a better level, even better level? How can I be even more contributing to the success of my organization? So now we come to the really, those things that begin to make a massive difference. You know, when you're doing your first job, you're only adding a little bit of value, tiny bit of value. When you're raising your head and establishing your visibility, you're doing something more. And then as you add more value to the organization, you're doing something more. But these are relatively small things. The groundbreaking things, the new things you can do, you need a certain amount of power and a certain amount of position and a certain amount of reputation in the country, in the company, to be able to accomplish the really big changes. And the really big changes are in these two fields only. Enhancing the reputation of the company or organization, government or NGO, whatever you're working for, hospital, school, doesn't matter what you're working for. How do you enhance the reputation of this organization? Of course, you contribute in a small way, even as an ordinary worker doing ordinary jobs right at the start. Of course, you contribute. If you fall down, the whole reputation of the company suffers or organization suffers. That's obvious. If you're a teacher in a school and you're not performing, the school reputation will suffer. That's obvious. But how do you enhance the reputation at an organizational level, not just at the level of competence in doing the job? That is the issue. So if you can enhance the reputation, find ways of enhancing the reputation of your organization, that is a groundbreaking thing. Or if you want to put it differently, you can think about it as a second contribution, but you can also think of it as an aspect of the first contribution if you want. It is enhancing brand value. How do you enhance the reputation of your organization? How do you enhance the brand value of your organization? Now, you can do this in many different ways. You can do it by improving the quality of your organization as a whole, not just at the product level, but as a whole, looking at the whole package. How do we improve the quality level of this organization as a whole? How do we improve the reliability of the organization as a whole? How do we improve the precision of the organization as a whole? Not just I say 10 o'clock, I perform before 10 o'clock. No, no. If the organization says 10 o'clock, the organization performs before 10 o'clock, right? So that is reliability, that is precision. How do we improve the value for money that is delivered by our organization? How do we improve the ethics of our organization? You know, in our nation, we have a real challenge about ethics. You know, we all live in a corrupt society. So the challenge is, how can you establish an ethical organization inside a corrupt culture? That's a real challenge. Quality, reliability, precision, and all that, you know, anybody can achieve by corrupt means, right? So how do you achieve this while being ethical? And an organization does not have to advertise how ethical it is. If it is ethical, it will itself be advertised. Of course, nobody can be 100% ethical, that is clear. But if you're relatively ethical compared to your competitors, it will be clear. Let me take an example. One of the largest organizations in our country, I won't mention names in case what I'm going to say is going to be somehow damaging to them. One of the top organizations in our country is well known for all that it does. It's well known for its professional competence. It is well known for its quality. It is well known for its human resources development, internal development processes. They're very good. They treat their employees very well, etc. And they're known for their ethics. But you know, and I know if we really probe into the organization, we will know they're not 100% ethical. It's very difficult to be 100% ethical as an individual. Are you 100% ethical? Am I 100% ethical? Well, obviously not. But we are not talking about 100%. We are talking about as ethical as possible, right? 100% of course would be brilliant. Then we would all be saints, right? But in the real world, how ethical can we be? Are we striving to be more ethical? That is the issue. So if we can strive to be more ethical as an organization, what policies do we need? What procedures do we need? How can we ensure in the implementation of any ethical policy there is, so that every employee follows the ethical principles? These are major issues for every company in our country, and for every organization in our country, whether your hospital, whether your school, the NGO, it doesn't matter. These are major issues for our country, for our culture. So if you can find ways of making your company, your organization more ethical, you will immediately enhance the reputation of that company or organization. You will immediately enhance the brand value. It seems a bit strange to talk about brand value for hospitals and schools, but you know what I mean. The reputation goes up, the brand gets recognized, people start thinking well of the organization. There is, of course, customer satisfaction. That's another area you can work at. Environmental concern. Can we do things in a way that is less damaging to the environment as an organization? Social justice, what can we do to improve social justice in our country? And so on and so forth. There are many ways in which we can enhance reputation and improve brand value. So that is the fourth or the next step, the next battle that we have, enhancing reputation and brand value. Okay. So you say, now that's a lot. That's a lifetime's work. Yes, my friends, it is. A career is for life. Success is a lifelong battle. Even when I'm 72 years old, I'm still trying to battle for success. Success as a grandparent. Success as a parent, right? So success, of course, I'm a publisher, so I'm battling for success in my publishing. I'm still an advisor to company boards, so I'm trying to be as good an advisor to company boards as possible. I'm a poet, I write poetry, I'm trying to be as good a poet as possible, right? So the battle for success never ceases in life, it carries on. When you're very old and decrepit, it may be only just managing your own pain, right? Managing your own helplessness, right? Growing old gracefully is not an easy challenge, huh? So the battle for success never ceases, huh? But the point I'm trying to make right now is there is still one more challenge in career terms, in professional terms. What is the final, most important step in your career to be successful? And that is to become someone who enables your organization to have world impact. Okay, world impact may be too much. National impact. How do you do that? You do that by transforming not only your organization, adding value not only to the brand and the reputation of your own organization, you start raising your eyes and asking the question, how can my organization contribute to transforming the whole of our industry? If we are recognized as the best college, the best hospital, the best manufacturing company, service, IT, whatever it is, company in the nation, is that enough? In a way, of course, it's enough. You're earning enough. You've got a great reputation. Why not? No, my friends. In order to really take the next step, you have to ask yourself, how can my organization contribute to making the sector in which my company is involved? How can we transform the whole of that sector to be better? And if my sector is already the leading sector, let us say for argument's sake, IT is the leading sector in our nation, right? Let's say that for argument's sake. There can always be debate about it, but let us accept that for the moment. If I'm already working in the IT sector and my company is the best in the best sector in the country, is that enough? Well, yes, of course, you can lie back on your achievements and say that's enough. But if you really want to achieve the next level, you will say, how can my IT sector enable all the other sectors, or at least one or two other sectors, also to be transformed so they become world class? Huh? At least national class, as good as us or better than us. If you're in government service and you're working for, let's say, for the revenue section or the trade promotion or business promotion section, a Ministry of Industry, whatever it may be, you are the best ministry in the country, let us say, is that enough? What about the Ministry of Social Welfare? What about the Ministry of Foreign Relations? You know, so let us have a national vision, not only a selfish vision for I and me and my company. You know, to have a national vision means contribute to the betterment of all companies, all sectors. And when we have improved as a nation enough, God willing, in our lifetimes, let us be then also concerned about making the world itself a better place. When we've done that, we'll be mostly successful. We'll be really successful. So the way to success, my friends, is to battle these levels, you know, establish your credibility, establish your visibility, add value, and then, of course, go on to the issue of enhancing reputation and brand value, and then go on to the battle of becoming somebody who enables national impact, world impact. Wow, you see, that is a huge challenge. That is an enormous challenge. That is an incredible challenge. Well, yeah, the question is, what do you mean by success? What do I mean by success? What is success? And the question is, success at what cost? You know, and I know people who are very ambitious, and as a result of being very ambitious, have abandoned their wives. I mean, they may not be formally divorced, or they may be formally divorced. They've abandoned their wife. In practice, they've abandoned their husband. They've abandoned their children. They're really not looking after them properly. You know, and I know, right? So some apparently very successful people in the world's eyes pay a huge cost in terms of their family. Is that success? Huh? Is that success? So there are two questions. What do I mean by success? What do I understand by success? Of course, the goal is very high, but what is the goal for me? And what cost is the right cost for me to pay so that I don't pay too much for that success? These are very profound personal questions for each of us. And those questions cannot be answered just by defining your own goals. You know, unfortunately, in the management world, we are full of mantras, easy mantras, you know. Define your own goals. Arey bhai, if I am going to define my own goals, how do I know I've been intelligent about them? How do I know I've set them properly? Is it not possible for me to define my own goals wrong? How do I know if I've set the right goals? For my life, how do I know if I've set the right goals or the wrong goals? Of course, the fact is we can't. We need a standard outside ourselves to measure whether we are really going in the right direction. And the standard outside ourselves, you may call it God, you may call it energy, you may call it conscience, you may call him whatever name you want to give this thing outside yourself. Unless this thing is greater than yourself, you will never know if you're doing things in the right way or the wrong way. The goal, the principle or the person from whom you get this sense that you really are going the right way has to be greater than you, has to be more moral than you, has to be more loving than you, has to be more generous than you, has to be greater than you to define what the right goals for you are. Or if I may use religious language only for a minute, I mean, not all of us are religious, that's fine. Some of us may be atheists or agnostics, that's fine. But just for the moment, let us think of it this way. There are only two options in terms of my life purpose. One option is I am the result of accident. Somehow the universe came into being through some accident of chance. Then over millions of years through other chances, somehow human life emerged, and somehow out of these chances, I emerged, and somehow I have to make some kind of meaning out of my life, and so I'm making some kind of meaning out of my life. That is one possibility. And if you accept that possibility, fine, then you have to define your own goals. But is there not another possibility? Is there not another possibility that somebody has actually created you? And that somebody has created you with a purpose. And that somebody is able to reveal to you, to show to you what is the purpose of your life. Why he or she or it, whoever that is, why has that person given you the gifts that he has given you, the talents that he has given you? What is the purpose of your existence with those talents? In what particular way are you meant to serve humanity? And maybe some of you will get married and devote yourselves only to your family. Women particularly have that option or that possibility or that privilege. But in the world's eyes, it is not seen as a privilege. You ask a woman when you meet her at some party, what do you do? Oh, I'm only a housewife. Only a housewife. You hear that sometimes, don't you? But my friends, being a housewife is the highest privilege that is given to you. Because human beings are being entrusted to your care. And the way you bring them up is going to make a difference in the world. You remember Gandhiji, but do you remember Gandhiji's mother's name? You remember Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel? Yes. Do you remember his mother's name? No. Nobody remembers the mother's name. But who had the real influence in creating Gandhi? Who had the real competence and ability to create Vallabhbhai Patel? Her mother, right? So never say, I'm only a housewife. It is the highest privilege which is given to anybody. And you realize that only when you lose your mother. You don't realize it otherwise. So whether you're only a mother, or whether you're a career lady, whether you're a career man, political leader, community leader, whatever you are, you need a standard outside yourself to judge what are the standards by which you should judge your success. Even if the world doesn't recognize it, nobody else knows it, nobody else recognizes it, doesn't matter. That person who's created you, who's given that responsibility to you, he or she or it, whatever it is, knows. And that is the greatest thing. You need a standard outside yourself to keep you on the straight and narrow path that is yours, not the straight and narrow path that is somebody else's. The interesting thing is this: no human being looks like any other human being. Every fingerprint in my finger is different. So if there is a God, he is interested not in clones, not in copies. Why is copying in exams immoral? Let's just ask a simple question. Why is copying in exams immoral? What's wrong with copying? Well, what's wrong with copying is that you are only at best, you're only rising to the level of the original. If you're copying, you're at best rising to the level of the original. But why do you limit yourself to the original? Why don't you master the material, make it your own, and then what will come out will be unique, different, extraordinary. That is one way you add value, by being yourself. So what is wrong with copying is that you're limiting yourself. You're being false to yourself. That's what's wrong with copying. Nobody tells you that, nobody explains that to you, but that is the reality. That's why it's wrong. So how do you prevent yourself simply being a copy of somebody else? By understanding your own uniqueness, by understanding your own path, by understanding your own gifts and talents and what they are intended to be deployed towards, to be applied to. So we need a standard outside ourselves. We need to be clear about the specific purpose for which we were created, what we were called to do, what our calling in life is, what our purpose in life is. Yes. That really is the note on which I want to end for the moment, because if we've really understood all that, we've understood what it means to be really successful in our lives. Successful at work, yes, of course, but successful also in our community and successful also in our lives. And that is the most important thing, to be successful in our lives, not just at work. So with those words, I will just close and give time now for questions and answers, if I may. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words of wisdom. This really helped us to revive ourselves and grow us in the corporate field. Now, I would like to call upon Ruchi Gandhi, the chairperson of Team Race, to continue with the question and answer. Thank you so much.
I would now like to ask some questions from our participants. Sir, how you take or what you do when you have to take difficult decisions?
You know, if decisions were not difficult, there'd be no problem, right? The problem is only with difficult decisions, right? So there are three levels, in my view. There are three levels at which you have to consider every difficult decision. So first, let's be clear. What is the reason why some decisions are difficult? The reason why some decisions are difficult is because of their consequences. The decision itself is not difficult. It is A or B or C, right? That's not a problem. The problem is we don't know. Well, we can see some things that are going to come from decision A and B and C, but there are other things down the road we cannot see. It's like a chess game, you know the next move, you may be able to see 3 or 4 moves ahead. If you're a very brilliant chess player, you may be able to see 8 moves ahead. You cannot see beyond that. So it is the consequences that paralyze you and make it a difficult decision, right? So what do you do is the question. So in my view, there are 3 levels at which you have to consider the decision. You have to consider it at the rational level. That means you get as much information as you can. You weigh up everything. You write down everything. If I follow strategy A, choice A, these are the consequences. I write them down. I don't just keep them in my head in a vague way. I write them down, because writing down brings clarity, forces me to think things through and put them in a logical, sensible way. Or I hire somebody to produce that kind of formulation for me so that it is there in black and white in front of my eyes. Same with the option 2, option 3, whatever it is. This is rational. And of course, the rational level is the easiest level, because you know what the choices are, you know what the consequences are, that you can see. You just write it down, that's all. But having written it down, you then look at it and you recognize it and you think about it. That's the rational level. The second level is the intuitive level. So as you think about it, as you turn it over in your mind, something in you will say that is the right way. No, that is not the wrong way. They're all difficult, but this may be slightly easier. This may be slightly better. That is what's going on in your heart, in your mind. You may call it conscience. You may call it God's voice. You may call it guidance, supernatural, whatever you want to call it. This is something that's happening outside or beyond or higher or deeper, whatever language you want to use, different from the rational level. So this is the second level. The third level is you have to think also of the implementation level. So the implementation level is what is involved in actually implementing these decisions. Some of these decisions will be easier to implement. Some of these decisions will be more difficult to implement. It is not necessarily the easily implementable decision that is the best choice. Sometimes it is a more difficult to implement decision that is the right decision. But unless you consider the implementation level with the resources that you have as an individual, as a family, as a community, as an organization, think through the implementation level and think through the practical consequences of implementing it. And as you look through all that, you will find your intuition, your guidance, whatever it is, maybe also beginning to change. So first you apply your intuition to the rational level, Then you apply your intuition or seek the intuition, whatever language you want to use, seek the intuition in relation to the implementation. And when these three things line up, the rationality, the intuition, and the implementation, when they line up, that zone is the right zone of the choice before you. So that is a kind of schematic representation. It doesn't happen like that in reality. In reality, you look at the facts and something else is happening, you're distracted and you come back to it. You know that. But somehow at the end of the process, you have to be in balance between those three elements: rationality, intuition, and implementation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we are gratified to have you as a speaker. We are sure that your powerful words would have created a positive impact in the minds of all our participants.
Totally.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Very nice to be with you, privileged to be with you, and with Principal Nancy Joes, and with Nelson Daniel, and with you, Ruchi, and with the gentleman who introduced me. I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. But thank you very much to all of you. And I hope that each of us will be inspired to go on to do greater things, better things, make our nation better, and contribute to that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye for now.
I would now like to call upon Dhanushya, the Deputy Chairperson of Team Race, to introduce our third speaker.
Thank you, Ruchi. It is rightly said that music is an art that directly connects with your soul. So let's see a short video of the next speaker. I would request the IT team to kindly present the video.
I had a dream. My dream was to play many instruments. I truly believe that it has magic and it has great power to capture your heart.
Is introducing our third speaker. Also through his mesmerizing performance connects with his audience. He is a person full of creation and has an abundance of talent. His passion towards music is commendable. He is popularly known as the one-man band of India. He is also known for playing the multiple instruments at a time and performing the solo act, makes him unique than many others. It won't be wrong to say that he is one of a kind who has done 2000 plus international shows in 50 plus cities, a 4-time TEDx speaker, and an all-time performer. So, ladies and gentlemen, he is none other than Mr. Gladson Samuel Peter. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I think that was one of the most warmest welcomes ever. Thank you so much, Team Raise, everyone who's part of this event, especially to the principal, Professor Nelson, and everyone who have been working in order to make this event successful. All of us very much know that it isn't easy to actually curate and to actually execute an event, and let alone be at an online situation where we all have a different kind of a setup. But I think we've all come to terms with it, and here we are in 2021 having a completely different kind of a setup for events. And I am firstly thankful to God for giving me an opportunity. Thank you to each and every professor, the management, all the students who have shared their love and invited me to be as one of the guests for this particular event. Indeed, when I was going through all the mails that we exchanged and the idea behind this event, I was like, wow, this is just Such a privilege and an honor to be here. With that, I would like to, so I have about 30 minutes, and then we have, I think, 15 minutes for question and answers, just like all the other speakers. I'm going to quickly introduce myself. Um, uh, Along with a video, along with a presentation which I have prepared for today, and that's going to be my entire story. So I would love for all of you to, pay careful attention. If you are going through something in life, I'm really going to hope and pray that this little part of my journey, which I'm going to be sharing with all of you, uh, touches you in some way or the other, because uh, it's a very special, eventful journey, because most of this happened when I was in college, not too long ago. And yep, that is pretty much it. So, yes, I'm going to jump straight into my presentation. I wish I could have brought all my instruments and played, but we don't have the means to currently do it. And hence, I've gotten some exclusive pictures which social media or people in the public forum haven't really seen, and you get a deeper insight into a lot of what has gone through in my life, uh, up till the point where I stand in front of you, very humbled to share my journey. So I'm going to just quickly share my screen. All right. So my name is Gladson Peter, and I'm popularly known as One Man Band India. That is because, yes, I play with up to 14 musical instruments, and I also sing. So, in very simple words, I just tell people, don't invite a band, just invite this one person. I'm sure that should be enough for your party, for your event. And yes, uh, more than all of this, I always say that it's a blessing, it's a privilege for me to take this particular name as One Man Band India and take it forward. And this is how I actually started. Okay, so there were three questions, like, how did this entire thing happen? Why do I do this? A lot of people ask me, like, why is this guy so crazy? I mean, why does he have to do all this when he can just play one instrument, call a couple of his friends, and do it? And what went on behind all of this? All right, so this is the insight I'm going to be taking you all into. So this is just a small picture which gives a little insight into uh, a part of my life which I really utilized the best. Okay, so all I did was I multiplied what I had in different ways. So here's the thing about talent. Here's the thing about art. The more you use it, it just multiplies. The more you go deeper into it, it just gets better and better. Unlike money, where if you go and spend it, you have less. But if you invest it in the right places, if you do the right things, you multiply yourself. So what I did was I had a talent for music, and I knew that I was gifted with this talent. And the more I tried to get deeper into it, my curiosity and my passion increased day by day, and I multiplied what I had, and that's how I am here with a result which I'm investing again into myself. All right. So I was about 3 to 4 years old when I started on playing music. This is my first instrument. It's a picture I luckily have. My first instrument was a toy keyboard, as you see in front of you. And my father was my first music teacher. He plays the keyboard and the guitar, and he also sings. My mom sings as well. Uh, my father is a priest, he's a pastor in the church. So I was kind of always surrounded with music because of church choirs and stuff like that. However, this is just a small section. He taught me how to play Happy Birthday, and you can see how clueless I am, yet trying to do the best I can. I kept growing, and I figured that the keyboard wasn't the only thing that really uh, attracted me the most. I really enjoyed the sound of the beats, or I enjoyed rhythm. So I would take spoons and forks from my house, take utensils, and just make my own drum kit and play. If I didn't have a drum kit, I would bang on the walls and wherever I could. I thought I was a rock star. I started picking up rhythm, and as days passed by, I don't have a picture of me playing or learning the guitar from my childhood, but here's a picture of me in a concert about a decade ago. Um, yes, and I eventually also got to get my hands on the drum kit. So I got really, really lucky, or I would say blessed. And this is a picture from a couple of years ago where I also got to play piano. These are just few of the many instruments that I have been able to learn through the course of my journey of life. I have been able to count about 35 musical instruments at my house, and I think there should be about 10 to 12 instruments, which are pretty big. And back then, I wasn't able to own them. But lucky enough, you don't have to own all the instruments all the time. So you can go and play wherever you get to. And that's me, an opportunist who always loves to explore music wherever I am. And here's a little picture of a few of the other instruments that I also play. This is a picture extract from a newspaper article. Um, all right, so I'm gonna come to a time when I thought I wanted to play music. Okay, so as I was growing up, I started playing the drums, the keyboard, the guitar, the piano, as you all saw. But my life changed in two different sections of my life. One is when I was going to a camp, a children's camp, from my 8th standard to 9th standard. There was a small summer vacation, and I went to a camp, and the person ahead, the uh, person who was leading the entire session, asked all the children to draw the picture of a person that you wanted to be like. Now, here's the thing: I wasn't really exposed to movies and a lot of other things. So yes, I knew that I wanted to be around music, and I wanted to be a pastor like my dad, and I also wanted to be a biker. I mean, a motocross racer. These were the three dreams I had, and I kind of pictured that maybe when I grow older, the person I want to be like must be someone who is able to play a lot of musical instruments. Now, back then, I think there was Orkut and Facebook was not a thing. This is a picture when I was in my 8th to 9th standard, and I probably have uploaded this to Orkut just to share what happened in the camp. And later on, I got to realize that, wow, this is a picture I could use in my story now. I never knew this. So let me just point out a few things over here. This is a Yamaha keyboard. This is a core keyboard. This is a Tama drum kit. These are flying V kind of guitars. I love pets, so I drew them. And this is the Bible. And this is the bike I probably. All right. So yeah, these are, and I pictured that as I grow older, the things that I love. Probably this is a person I want to be who plays a lot of musical instruments. There's also a violin, a saxophone, and all these things. These are all the things I knew. I just drew it. And the preacher said, how about, yeah, just keep this, pray about it, and forget it. And I completely forgot about it. Now, cut to my 11th and 12th standard. I studied in my favorite college. I am a ex-Wilsonian. And when I was in college, I also went through a tough phase, which also changed a lot of things in my life. I had really good friends, but a lot of friends, I'm sure all of us know that once we get into college, we have the freedom to do everything. And a lot of people who were around me used to smoke. And unfortunately, when I wanted to hang around all of that smoke, it started entering into my body. And I've never really touched a cigarette or alcohol, but yes, it was secondhand and passive smoking, which kind of affected me back then. And I came back home and I started vomiting, and I couldn't figure what was happening because it went on for weeks and months and almost about a year. And I lost a lot of weight. I became really, really thin, probably around 40 kgs. And along with this, I also started breathing heavily. I used to breathe like once in every 6 to 7 seconds. I would take one conscious, long, deep breath, um, wait for some energy, and then come back for more. And along with that, I was not even able to sit for more than half an hour. So I would lie down and sit for half an hour, go back to lie down for like 4 hours so I can get a little energy. So when we went to the doctors, the doctors asked me if I'm a heavy smoker. I said, wow, that's really strange. How could you ask me such a question? But eventually we got to know that all of this has affected my lungs, and I lost about 60% of my lungs, and I was left with 40%. And in 2015, um, I had a dream in December, because I was really praying that I was trying to figure out what's going to happen, what should I do in my life, and I was praying that I want to do something new in 2016. And that's when God reminded me in a dream about this particular picture. Um, and he was like, how about you take all the musical instruments that you know and play them together? And I did not know that this picture existed, but I went back and found my records, and here it is. And that's how I'm able to bring this visual in front of you. So I worked on it. I felt that it was quite impossible because my only reference point was Mickey Mouse. If you guys have seen Mickey Mouse, there's a small little cartoon where he puts all the instruments on himself, and there's a little bit. So I was like, yeah, that can be possible because it's a cartoon. How can a real person do it? But I did my research, and eventually I put up few of my instruments, and I came up with my first design. Um, yes, it became a reality that my dream eventually became a reality. These are some of the instruments, not all together that I play, but some of the instruments that I play. And this is the first instrument that I built myself. It had this guitar just cost me 500 rupees from an old friend. This is the melodica. There's an entire drum kit behind me, two um, two levels of instruments sitting right here, and this I clicked at one of the events, and a lot of other uh, musical instruments which are on my body. So this I built in February 2016. A couple of my friends and my family helped me to build this. So this was completely a balcony project. And yes, that's how my life went on. This is a picture of my second design, wherein I play the most number of instruments, which is 14. Uh, I made this, and the first design, I skipped one thing. The first design, it weighed 25 kgs. The second design, I planned that it should be a little lighter, but unfortunately, it increased about 2 to 3 kilos, and it was weighing around 27 to 28 kilos. Um, this design and my story also helped me to go around the world. I've not to a lot of places, but yes, to a few places where I was really able to share my music and my story. And I'm really, really thankful for all the opportunities. Eventually, I knew that I couldn't stay by just carrying a lot of weight on myself. So I'm going to make it much better and more efficient. I reduced some of the instruments, and I just use them when I need to. And here's a picture of my version 3.0, which I built in 2019. I'm currently also using the very same kit, which you see over here. and I'm really happy that um, it's been about 5 years, and I have been able to share my journey with so many places. I never really imagined that I would be in a spot where my story is going to tell someone else that, hey, I was in a difficult situation. I was almost about to die. But just when that was happening, I trusted God in the stormiest of situations. And the second thing is that I never gave up. Because what shattered me the most is when I got out of the hospital, the doctors told me that I lost 60% of my lungs and I will never be able to play not even a simple flute. And if you ever try a flute, it doesn't take any energy to really blow in, but that's how weak my lungs were. But hey, you know what I did? I just took the flute first. I relearned everything I lost, and here I am. Not only that I wanted to be a drummer, but I play all the musical instruments that I ever learned in my life, and for which I'm really, really thankful. Um 2 years ago, I've also been teaching a lot of music, and 2 years ago, along with the venture of along with just performing and sharing my story, I really felt that it is important for me to share my knowledge. And here is my baby. It's called Duke Experience. I was able to come up with a company which exclusively helps people to try their hands at music, because I know that guitars, drums, piano, and all could be a little intimidating. And here's my favorite instrument, which is the ukulele. And as a one-man band, when people ask me, "Hey, can you teach me something?" and I know that it'll be a little difficult, so I offer them a very friendly instrument, which is called the ukulele. And this is my team. Just a picture from one of the workshops I had in Mumbai, and that's pretty much it. That has been my life's journey. Quite recently, during the pandemic, I have been exploring a lot more music. I've been able to play for a wider audience from home, and I think in the last 3 weeks, uh, my videos in all have crossed more than 15 to 16 million video views around the world, for which I'm really, really thankful. And I'm gonna keep creating good music, and always this remains that I'm gonna share my story, just so that someone who's going through a difficult time in their life should not give up. Because if I gave up back then, I don't think I would be sitting here in front of you and sharing my life's journey. So I'm thankful to God, my parents, my friends who stuck around, and never let me feel that I'm going to be a loser. So if you are going through a very difficult situation in your life right now, no matter what it is, I just want to give you a big hug and let you know that everything's going to be all right. And just don't give up on what you're doing. Hang in there, just keep at it, and life will really, really, really surprise you with something more beautiful. Like you see, when I see my this picture, I was like, I always tell myself, hey, I just want to be a drummer. And to be honest, if I was just a drummer, I don't know, I would be a lost soul in a I don't know, my life would be so different. And God has really helped me to stand out and share my story with a lot of people. So thank you so much, one and all, for listening. That was my Shut that, time, and I'm gonna let this time be for questions, I think. So yes, thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, sir. So now I would like to call upon Hiral Joshi, the chairperson of Team Race, to continue with the question and answer round. Thank you, Dhanasya. So we will now continue with the question and answer round. The first question is, how difficult is it to handle so many instruments at a time?
It is indeed very difficult, to be honest. I think your brain is trying to work for at least a minimum of 6 to 7 people. The first time I came across something like this, it was just for 2 people. I was exposed to a video by a very popular artist named Billy Joel. His song's name is called Piano Man. And this is way before the one-man band came in, and I was like, oh my god, how am I gonna play the piano and the harmonica together? But here's the secret: the more you keep doing it, the more your brain just flows in with it. So that's the secret. I think when people say practice makes a man perfect, I was only able to experience it once I got into this. It is very, very, very difficult. Even now, when I'm trying to make my own arrangements, especially with a lot of Bollywood numbers, which I haven't explored a lot. The kind of beats that we have, the kind of music that we have is so advanced that I just ask myself, how is this going to happen? So, but here's the secret: you just keep doing it over and over again, and works out.
Thank you so much for answering the question. The next question is, do you feel burdened sometimes handling so many instruments at a time?
100%. After every event, if I was wearing all the instruments right now and singing and performing to everyone, right after this, I would shut my video and just wait to relax my back. So it is quite a burden, but I like to do what I do, because at the end of the day, I love it when people are encouraged, and what I do helps them and keeps them motivated. So I think the burden is worth it all.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is, how difficult was it to sync all the instruments together?
I think so my first answer to this is I don't know how it works, but then I try to break it down. All right. How I say know how it works is, one, it is a God-given talent, which is very difficult for me to kind of break it down. But still, to just put it in words, I think understanding how each and every instrument works is a very important part of syncing it all. Like, for example, I use my feet to play the drums, and we also use our feet to play the drums in general. So in this particular manner, I'm using my legs to do literally all the work of an entire drum kit piece, and my hand knows exactly how a guitar plays, because I've played it over and over again. I know how my harmonica plays. I know the sound of it. So repetition has kind of helped me to sync it all. So if someone is trying to work something similar or something like this, or just something in general, I think repetition is the key, and syncing will kind of happen. It's not easy, but it works out it works out eventually.
Thank you so much, sir. It was our last question. Thank you so much for answering all the questions. It was great interacting with you and listening to you. So
Thank you.
It gives me a relaxation to propose a vote of thanks. Thank you so much, Gladson, sir, for sharing your journey of life. It has inspired us and taught us to never give up on our dreams.
Thank you.
It has, if we have the passion and commitment, nothing is difficult and everything can be achieved. I would also like to thank our principal, ma'am, Dr. Mrs. N.C. Jose, Vice Principal of Academics, Professor Dr. Moshmi Datta, Vice Principal of Self-Finance Section, Dr. Mona Mehta, Vice Principal of Degree College, Administration, Associate Professor V.G. Suchak Sir, and Vice Principal of PSGD Junior College for their constant support, without which the event wouldn't have been possible. Thank you to all the teaching and non-teaching staff. Last but not the least, we would like to thank a pillar of support and guidance, Professor Mr. Nelson Daniel, for mentoring us and keeping us motivated. I would also like to appreciate the organizing committee for organizing Revive 2021. Thank you to all the participants for joining the webinar and making it a successful one. I would also like to thank our sponsors, without whom this event wouldn't have been possible. Associate sponsor, Elite Overseas Education. Gifting partner, Cinnamon Stick. Registration partner, Paytm Insider. Restaurant partner, Biryani Bomb. Furniture partner, Pavik Systems. MBA partner, Preptors. Installation partner, Extra Engineers. Printing partner, Lakshmi Prints. IT partner, Avon with ID Technologies. Design partner, Mowgli India. Cafe partner, FC Cafe. Jewelry partner, Jigna Creation. Optic partner, The Eye Gallery. Bakery partner, Fold Bake Gobu. Video editing partner, First Fill. Fitness partner, Fitmax. Ice Pop partner, Little Loco Pops. Dance partner, Varda Studios. Dessert partner, Camel Dessert. Virtual gaming partner, No Escape Room. Turf partner, FC Turf. Photography Institute partner, Varun Bhatt Photography. Aerial cinematography partner, Campfly. Perfume partner, La Fume. Salon partner, Hari Hari Hair Studio. Now I will request IT team to kindly present the e-banner. Design creates culture. Culture shapes value. Value determines future. Everything you build is going to last a lifetime and it's going to hold a value too. Pavik System is the best for modular furniture and it provides you with furniture that holds true value. Peace be amplified, worlds be rectified. Extra engineers have the right spark. They are electrical and mechanical engineers, designers and contractors, fire protectors and safety engineers, and best at their work. Dance is a hidden language of the soul. To dance is to out yourself. More beautiful and more powerful. We now request our IT team to present a small video of our sponsor, Varda Studios.
We're a million lonely people all together on this needle in the sky, afraid of heights, and your dreams were made illegal by the laws of lesser evil we call life, but not tonight. I dare you to love, I dare you to cry, I dare you to run, I dare you to try, I dare you to fall and lay on the ground, I dare you to feel, I dare you to be.
Thank you to all the sponsors. Participants are requested to fill the feedback form available in the comment section. Kindly note, participants failing to fill the feedback form will not receive any certificates. Thank you.